Okay, so everybody, so this guy right here, Barry, I met him in the feed mill probably about 5 years ago or so. This guy right here, out of nowhere, told me what he did. Anyway, Barry, tell him the connection. Tell everybody what you did there.
Well, the first tour I ever did on the road, I became a roadie in 1974.
A roadie.
Yeah, it means you're equipment man. You're out with the band, you take care of their equipment, you keep it tuned, packed up, you get it from show to show, make sure it's working right every night. And all the bands I ever worked with were just, it's like old home week backstage. None of this rock and roll bouchery, you know, that he talks about. But one of the first tours the very first tour I did, I loaded up a 9-foot Steinway in Dallas and drove it out to meet up with the band. This was in 1974. And so I was setting that up every day for, I don't know, about 45 days, I think, straight, or 54, something like that, for Robert, and tuning it every day.
Who's Robert?
Robert Lammm with Chicago.
Okay, see, this is what they need to know.
Yeah.
So
he ended up, from what I understand from Darren, he ended up buying that piano, and then Jason bought it from Robert eventually.
I think he bought it from the band. I think
or maybe the band bought it, and then he brought that piano here to Tennessee, and little did I know it lived here probably while I was here for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So what's very funny, and I'll close with this, is I recently discovered a piano that Richard Bennett, who wrote Forever in Blue Jeans with Neil on, because I toured later with Neil. Neil Diamond.
Okay,
Neil Diamond,
yeah.
yeah.
Jeez,
not Neil Young, okay? Not Neil Sedaka. But anyway, it's funny. He just asked me to do this off the cuff. So
these guys are going to love this.
So Richard Bennett co-wrote Forever in Blue Jeans with Neil when he was 19. He's been around a while. He's done a lot of Emmylou stuff. He did a lot of Guitar Town with Steve Earle. And he's been Mark Knopfler's lead and rhythm guitar player for the last 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, but he recorded 4 of my songs on a 9-foot Steinway at Ocean Way in California, Gower Gulch on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh yeah, familiar.
Alan Sides, who owned Ocean Way, also had Ocean Way here in Nashville, which he donated or sold, I think donated to Belmont years ago. Well, before that, he had shipped that 9-footer from Hollywood to Nashville, put it in that studio. It was really too big for the Ocean Way studio in an old church here. So they put it up at the Belmont Mansion for Belmont University, and it stayed there forever until about 3 months ago, and they got tired of it, so they shipped it down to a friend of mine runs the old Sony building, which is now the Mike Curb School of Entertainment here. It's part of Belmont. And that 9-footer, they did it interdepartmentally. They sold that 9-footer to the other building for $100, and I have access to go back and start recording on that 9-footer again. We recorded there probably in '87. So these rock and roll pianos, they're...
So this is Robert Lamm's piano guy for all you Chicago fans and Neil Diamond freaks. Anyway.
I was lucky enough to live with Cat Stevens for a while in a place, just a short while, and when he had a studio, and I was down in a cubbyhole, right? And do tours with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So those were the days, my friend. Okay, over and out. Bye.
I love it. Thanks, buddy.